It's a cloudy future ahead for pot smokers and the companies that employ them. Despite 2 states legalizing the drug, companies are firing workers for their off-work activities. Plus, other state and federal laws still ban the recreational use of marijuana, creating a legal landscape that is pretty half-baked. Now, our legal eagles are here with some answers. Fox News legal analyst Lise Wheel and Bill Frumkin at Frumkin and Hunter Law Firm. Lise, let's start with you because you're wearing a fantastic turquoise color tonight.
Thank you so much.
So this one company fires a guy for, for a drug test, smoking pot.
Random drug test,
It turns out 64% of Americans think it's unacceptable to fire workers for off-the-clock pot use, even when it's illegal.
Right.
Does this guy have a case to go back and say,
he doesn't have a case, and whether 64% agree that it should be not illegal and it should not be fired. But the problem is for this guy and for other guys in states, even Colorado and Washington State, is that if it's illegal federally, right, which it still is now,
right,
and legal in a state, federal law trumps state law, and the company can say, look, we're going with federal law, not state law.
Wait a minute, you're the lawyer, but I think you're wrong on that because we've got 2 states that voted to say it's legal.
That's state law, though.
Yeah, but you see, the point is this. In those 2 decisions, it's important to know that these were disabled individuals who were taking medical marijuana with prescriptions, and they were fired for off-duty use, even though they didn't use it on the job, and the employer knew that they were using it. Now, the real bottom line to the whole situation is the following thing. The federal law is ridiculous in a sense that the federal prosecutors through the U.S. Department of Justice have indicated they're not going to prosecute anybody.
True.
So these people lost their jobs because federal law preempted lawful usage in the state and still
But you agree with me, though, that to my point, that federal law trumps state law.
I agree with that, but I think on appeal, the concept is lawful use. In other words, these laws that permit off-duty use. No, but the point is they say lawful activity off-duty can be.
Hang on.
No, the Colorado Appellate Court even said that it can't be, that unlawful activity will not be allowed under the lawful off-duty activities guide.
But they're saying it became unlawful because of the federal law, which the federal prosecutors have said they're not going to enforce.
So hang on, can I just stop you both? I'm going to rewind because for the non-lawyers in the audience, you're saying that even in Colorado, where the voters have said that as of January, it's legal to walk down the street smoking some dope, I guess, or something?
Well, a little bit.
But you're saying that even in Colorado, I could still be arrested for violating federal law.
Exactly. You could still be arrested. You might not be prosecuted. I hate to be the mean, bad persecutor here. I really do. But I'm just telling you what just telling you what the law is. And I'm not saying I agree with these policies. I'm just saying that, you know, you asked, your question was, does this guy have a case? And he really doesn't because of the way the laws are now.
Okay.
Change the law then.
And what do you think of the federal government saying that while there is a federal law against pot, we're just not going to enforce that in Colorado and Washington State?
I think that
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that they need to repeal that law because it's ridiculous and it doesn't line up with the way the laws are going in the United States. State after state are going to be falling on this issue and decriminalizing.
Right.
But the practical effect is that you have somebody lawfully losing a job for lawful conduct that's theoretically unlawful under federal law but not enforced.
That's a legislative thing to change. You're talking about prosecutorial discretion on whether to prosecute or not. That's one thing. But then if you really want to change the law, that's a legislative thing. The other thing to do is change the policies that the employers have. I mean, if an employer says, we will accept this and we're not going to fire you for prescription marijuana, they can do that.
Bill, is my employer allowed to fire me when they realize that I've been drinking vodka at home over the weekend? Can the employer fire me for any reason that it wants to? If an employer has a policy against any alcohol use and I test positive for alcohol use, can the employer fire me today?
Okay, it depends on the state. Generally, as an at-will employee, they could fire you for any reason or no reason at all except for reasons of discrimination. Now, in this particular case, many states have off-duty laws that say that you could engage in lawful activity off-duty and not be fired for that. So the
Some states do have that.
So it depends what state you're in. But again, the problem here is that you had a federal court and a state court in these 2 cases looking at this Colorado law saying that it's lawful in Colorado, but since it's unlawful in the United States under federal law, it becomes unlawful under our state law. That case is on appeal. That case is on appeal.
With your hypothetical, that's your distinction because federal law says that smoking pot, whatever the state says, is illegal period, and stop, no matter if they're going to be prosecuted or not.
But the federal case, there's a state case and a federal case. The federal case is on appeal to the 10th Circuit, and that may fall on the basis that if the practical effect of the federal law is not to be enforced, how could the state law be on?
But you don't have a case.
No, I don't disagree with you if that happens, but it hasn't happened yet. So right now you've got you've got little states here, and they're passing their law, and the big feds, and the feds say, we may not prosecute you for this, but it's still illegal.
All right. Now let's say I live in Colorado.
Right.
I'm smoking dope legally, and I'm also smoking dope because it's medicine.
Right.
It's medicine.
So you're doubly legal.
Okay. So and then I get on a flight with my medication to fly to New York. Can I be busted? And I'm using a legal prescribed drug in Colorado. Can I be busted when I go to New York?
Because you're in a different state with different rules.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. In other words,
so this is just creating a mess, isn't it?
It is a mess, and that's why I think once we have federal decriminalization of marijuana, obviously with constraints that are in the state laws, I think this is going to make a lot more sense. And I think that's the trend. I think that's the trend.
We may end up deciding that we were better off doing it the illicit way, because government's just going to come in here and mess all of this up. All right, thanks for being with us tonight, Bill and Lise.
Thank you.